So I would go in there, and I would see there's all these cameras. You know, in any of these government buildings or businesses or department stores where cameras are forbidden, they say no cameras, but I walk in and see, oh, there's a camera over there, there's another one over there, there's another one over there. And they say, oh, but those are surveillance cameras. Those are not cameras.
Surveillance, the watching from below, the idea of the watched watching the watchers. I'm Danny Hayes, and in this video documentary I'll be addressing the state of play of surveillance and surveillance across Queensland as a response to our media lab on this topic. This video documentary acknowledges the usefulness of surveillance tools properly applied and the service they provide in solving criminal matters significant and small. It is, as such, focused on the practical, social and ethical issues posed by the development of these technologies. The practice of modern surveillance is considered a fundamental part of life in global cities. That includes metropolitan capitals like Brisbane, regional cities like Townsville, and smaller centres like Proserpine, Mackay and Gympie. The brothers Bentham produced the concept of the panopticon, a key consideration for the modern surveillance apparatus. It is a conceptual jail of a guard tower equipped to capably see everything it desires at any time, combined with the inability of its surveillance targets to respond with in-kind observation, even though they may be keenly aware of the watcher's gaze.
We miss a lot due to lockdowns. You don't do anything. There's nothing. You don't have any contact really with the other people in this cell house with the different tiers. You don't have any contact with anybody.
This is the magic of the one-way mirror. The watched know where the watchers sit, visible to them. Yet the watcher is unverifiable. It can never be sure if the watcher is truly watching, or if they're even present, and nor shall the identity of the watcher be known to their target. The first use of the term surveillance emerged in the early 2000s, courtesy of Steve Mann. This followed the increased commonality of CCTV, closed-circuit television systems, during the 90s and the noughties. The practice of surveillance has stood as an inherently disruptive behaviour to surveillance operations, one ranging from a mere annoyance, to angry counter-movements, to communal violence. Steve Mann, a leader in this field, refers to it as an oversight of integrity.
In Queensland, the use of surveillance tools, particularly CCTV cameras, is governed by the Information Privacy Act and the Criminal Code. Private businesses have a right to install CCTV cameras and to film the public.
The public, equally, has a broad freedom of speech protection to take photos and videos of almost anything visible from a public place, including people and security equipment.
Using that right to conduct practical and visible surveillance is something that the general public is often perplexed by, and some surveillors are outraged by. During the making of this video, I performed a count of visible, public-facing surveillance cameras on 3 blocks of Edward Street and in the Brisbane CBD. All photos and counts were undertaken while on public land. These videos demonstrate some of the responses that surveillors can expect.
May I ask you why?
I'm taking photos.
Yeah, may I ask you why?
Well, why are you taking photos?
Why am I taking photos?
No, the security
For the
cameras.
security of our store.
Well, that's why I'm doing it.
Sorry?
That's why I'm doing it.
For the security of my store?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't take photo of our store.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
But see, this is
reasons.
but this is
not facing this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Card as well?
Hey?
You have a card as well or something?
A card? No. I have no identity.
No idea.
No, not yet.
No, right.
If you can tell me who's on the other end of your security cameras, I'll tell you who I am.
I don't need to tell you that.
Bonjour.
What are you doing?
I'm taking photos.
Why?
Because I can.
Well, you're not allowed to,
And what says?
because it's business. I do have customers here.
Yeah, well this is the private line, right, down here. So if I step in here, I'm in private space, and if I'm out here, I'm in public space.
That's not right. You want to talk to the center management?
Well, no, because it doesn't matter, because I'm in public.
And then also you're taking photo of our customers as well, so you can...
Oh, no, I don't care about that. I only care about the security cameras.
Yeah, but then my customers inside of the photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can actually...
Well, why do you have security cameras?
For security reasons.
Well, that's why I take photos.
Why?
For security reasons.
May I ask you who you are then?
I'm Guy.
Okay, are you just going to be here taking photos of the store all day?
No, I've taken a fair few photos.
Okay, because they're not really too happy about it. Do you mind stopping that?
Oh, I mean, I'm done.
Okay,
So,
good.
have you got any other little bits hanging out? Like that one there. Yeah. Can I ask, who's on the other side of those cameras? If you can tell me, if you can tell me who's on the other, if you can tell me who's on the other side of your cameras, I'll tell you who I am.
I don't need to answer these questions, but please, can I have a look at it?
Well, there you go. It's a bit of quid pro quo.
Yeah, well, stop taking photos of my shop then.
Yeah. Well.
You're being rude, so I'd like you to walk away.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, these security cameras sort of look out into the public eye, and the public eye looks into the shop. And in public, you're allowed to take photos of most things, not defence bases and stuff like that.
Just go away.
At least you know I'm in public, so.
Yeah, I don't care.
No, do you have your name and your contact number?
I have that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give it to you though. I will give it to you if you can tell me who's on the other end of your security cameras.
He's actually waiting for you.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Ignoring the irony of these interactions taking place under view of CCTV, I received questions including, who are you? Why are you here? And what are these pictures for? Others asked for me to show them the photos I had taken and to delete some or all of them. When they were in turn asked these questions, what are your cameras for, who runs your cameras, and so on, answers were rarely produced. I since returned to some of those businesses to ask to see footage of myself and possibly delete it. All said no. It's also notable that of the 4 places I had this interaction, none of them posted a visual or written warning of visual surveillance at that place. 2 of them decided to take their own photos of me to try to disturb my surveillance, an act of counter-surveillance that in fact exemplifies the very principles of surveillance. They decided to actively respond to the surveillance of an unknown person watching them for an unspecified reason by adopting the very principles explored in this video. That test explored the relationship of surveillance activities against surveillors who have an interest in defence of their personal interests, asset protection and security. After all, Gucci has no interest in monitoring the streets. While this surveillance produced frustration on behalf of the watchers and a total of 5 phone calls to the police, the stakes are much higher in other contexts. For instance, the surveillance of Middle Eastern countries like Pakistan and Yemen preceded the deployment of armed drones. These weapons platforms and their operators have been criticised for a lack of precision. The human toll and collateral damage has given rise to surveillance projects, such as the Drones Plus app, removed from the Apple App Store more than 12 times for unknown reasons, and the hashtag #NotABugSplat campaign. Even in regular policing, we have seen police officers being caught out by their own surveillance tools. Surveillance in the private sector and unique fields draw questions specific to their nature. But what about the deployment of surveillance in public safety and security by our governments, ostensibly for our own security and protection? We spend public money on these systems as they promise enhanced safety, improved responses to criminal activity, and most importantly, all of this in real time. Much of this real-time value depends on the efforts of the panopticon, the concept of visible yet unseeable surveillance. To test this, I donned a high-vis vest and borrowed a ladder, and sought to test the response time of Townsville CBD CCTV. Let's give it a couple of minutes, see if anyone turns up or gives me a ring, they will be just fine. Total time from covering the first camera to the first phone call, just shy of half an hour.
Hello, calling from Council. What are you doing to our camera?
What's that, sorry?
What are you doing to our camera?
We're just giving him a nice hat.
Okay, you realise your fingers are on the CCTV.
Yes. And my phone.
Have another for me?
Yeah, I can do that.
Do that, and do not want another one, or else we'll have to report this to the police. That's just a waste of everyone's time, alright?
Alright.
Alright, thank you very much.
While this act of surveillance was carefully crafted to avoid any legal issues, the local council seemed particularly infuriated by my public experimentation. While the Townsville City Council's installation of a public CCTV network is fairly minor scale, live monitoring was only installed in 2014, its deployment in more authoritarian countries has raised a number of ethical issues. The newly emerging social credit system in China relies on data mining and electronic intelligence. But with the accuracy of face detection software, CCTV cameras are becoming enlestees in that government's ranking and enforcement of its own citizens' morality and patriotism. Will there one day be a city council in Australia that applies such tracking technology to automatically paint a picture of a person's movements, be it for suspicious activities, socio-political interests, or a private partnership to see what businesses and attractions are getting the most attention? Surveillance is an ever-developing technology with applications yet to be seen. It's a vaunted technology, one adopted by cities of all sizes and businesses of all income, some more than others. How, in exchange, will the rights of people be changed to accommodate the development in surveillance technology? And how will surveillance change the nature of that technology? How will future surveillors challenge the development of surveillance? I'm Danny Hayes, and in this Media Lab documentary, we've addressed the topic of surveillance and surveillance and the state of play in Queensland. Thank you very much.